The death of Osama Bin Laden may have been praised around the world, but that world is bracing itself for a terror response. Meanwhile, the news that the body of the al-Qaeda leader was buried at sea is doing little to counter claims he's still alive. And as RT's Gani Chichikan reports, the aim of the operation may have been as much to do with winning elections as the war on terror.
The great vendetta moment, shrouded in secrecy. As Americans celebrated the killing of the nation's #1 terrorist, they had no other proof of his death but the word of their president.
They needed to give us a big win so we could walk tall and feel good. But sorry, can't see his body. We threw him in the ocean. And, oh, we did show you a fake photo.
According to U.S. officials, American special forces killed Osama bin Laden in his mansion in Pakistan, conducted a DNA test to make sure it was him, and promptly got rid of the body, as they put it, following Islamic burial tradition. While the symbol of America's war on terror seems to be done with, the war on terror itself is not.
Yet his death does not mark the end of our effort. There's no doubt that al-Qaeda will continue to pursue attacks against us. We must and we will remain vigilant at home and abroad.
The U.S. has been long chasing al-Qaeda beyond Afghanistan borders. In Yemen, those have been covert drone strikes. In Pakistan, they were overt and widely criticized for the scores of civilians killed in the attacks. The question some ask now is, could the success of killing bin Laden in Pakistan give the U.S. more of a carte blanche for carrying out strikes in other countries?
It will be used to justify further wars, greater repression at home, and more extrajudicial targeted assassinations against political opponents. And this is true whether in Libya, in Iraq, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan.
Many analysts say America's war on terror so far has been a double-edged sword that involves fighting terror and provoking terror at the same time. The war waged by Allied forces and led by the United States has left Afghanistan as unstable as ever.
The war on terror has the ability to allow the U.S. to carry out military operations that since 2001 have taken the lives of more than 1 million civilians. In Iraq, in Afghanistan, now in Libya, and of course that leads to an escalation of resistance, of hatred, of revenge. And so in terms of keeping the American people safe, that's a ridiculous notion.
The U.S. has a track record of policies that backfired, like arming and training the Afghan Mujahideen in the 1980s in their fight against the Soviet troops. Subsequently, the same Mujahideen militants turned their weapons and training against the U.S. Among those supported by the U.S. was Osama bin Laden, whose group eventually evolved into al-Qaeda.
One great problem with the whole episode in Afghanistan in the 1980s is that no lessons were learned. It was still seen by the CIA as a great success, with a bit of collateral damage in New York in September 2001.
But one lesson was learned. Victory over evil makes great television and approval ratings for the men in charge. Obama said that he had known about bin Laden's whereabouts since August last year. But only last week had he given the order to take him. It's been 2 weeks since Obama announced his re-election plans. He's been slipping in the polls over inconclusive wars overseas and economic woes at home.
It's actually led to the President of the United States being beatified almost more than, the Pope's, kind of accolades to John Paul. This is, Obama is cashing in on this for everything that it's worth. And you'll notice in his speech last night, he kept stressing several times, I ordered, I promised, I such and such. It was clearly done for, the statement was clearly worded for political advantage.
At a time of unity and joy over the death of this evil man, Americans could be missing the bigger picture. In the last 10 years, the war on terror and the way it's been conducted has earned them more enemies than friends. I'm Gani Chichikan reporting from Washington.